So who will explain? Baby Kartika. Mohammed Rafiq. One of you summarize what all we have discussed in the last class. Baby Kartika, Rafiq, Shaktivel. So nobody is active in the class.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, proceed, pa, Shaktivel.
Chromophores and the oxochromosome types of band.
Ma'am.
Oxo
Okay. Yeah, baby
oxochromosome
Kartika, let him complete. After then you can proceed. Okay. Yeah, Shaktivel, you can.
oxochrome when attached to chromophore increase the chromophore action, ma'am. UV visible
Okay.
absorption range 200 to 800 nanometer, and UV visible two groups chromosome and chromophores and oxochromosome.
Oxochromes.
Chromophores are oxochrome. Chromophores are a conjugated system to observe electromagnetic radiation, ma'am.
Okay.
They will observe UV radiation. Oxochromosome are electron donating group to extend conjugation.
Very good.
Chromophores are two types: dependent chromophores and independent chromophores. Dependent chromophores are double bond in nature. Ethylene
Okay.
and acetylene. Independent chromophores are azo and nitroso. 5
Okay.
electron, n electrons.
Good.
5 electron are B band and E band. B band is benzoid band. E band ethylenic group, ma'am. And B band is
Benzenoid band. Okay. That is benzenoid band. B band is benzenoid.
benzenoid band.
Okay.
B band is aromatic group and E band is aliphatic group, ma'am.
Okay.
5 and n electron K band, R band. K band is conjugated band. R band is radical band, ma'am.
Okay.
Oxochrome are acidic and basic two types, ma'am.
Okay.
In solvents used in this is water, methanol, ethanol, ships.
Okay. Yeah, say about
Blue
shift.
shift, blue shift, red shift, hyperchromic shift and hypochromic shift. Red shift is longer wavelength.
Okay.
Lower wavelength is blue shift. Less intensity is hypochromic shift, and high intensity is hyperchromic shift, ma'am.
Yeah, good. Very good, Satyavel. The remaining points can be explained by baby Kartika. Thank you,
Thank you, ma'am.
Satyavel. Baby Kartika, you can explain the remaining points. Or anybody else. Whoever is active, you can share your points. Okay.
Ma'am, detectors.
Yeah, Monisha, proceed.
Detectors mechanism is converts radiation energy to electrical energy. In that barrier layer cells or photovoltaic cells, photo multiplier tubes, photodiode arrays,
Good.
Recorder's mechanism draws electrical signal into spectra.
Yeah.
Spectral study, qualitative analysis in that wavelength versus observance. Quantitative analysis, concentration versus observance. Observance value 0.1 to 0.9.
Yeah, that is optimum absorbance. Okay. So we'll discuss the remaining points in the today's class. Thank you, Monisha also. Monisha and Saktivel. Let's proceed with the today's class now. So we'll discuss about the remaining part what we have discussed in the last class. We have completed only introduction, principle and instrumentation of UV visible spectroscopy. Now let's move on to quantitative applications, pharmaceutical applications and spectrometric titrations behind. Yeah.
Ma'am, network problem, ma'am.
It's okay, pa. I can understand. No problem.
Okay.
Yeah. Just at least listen to the class. Okay. Try to listen to the class. That's enough for me. Okay. Okay, pa. So quantitative applications, pharmaceutical applications, and spectrometric titrations. All these three topics we are going to discuss today. Let's move on to the first part, quantitative applications. Quantitative represents quantity we are going to determine. Amount of the analyte is going to be determined. So what are the methods? Different methods are available to determine the amount of analyte. So when we are, what purpose quantitative application we are quantitatively we are analyzing the sample by UV visible spectroscopy, means in order to determine the purity of the analyte. In order to determine the purity of the analyte, the quantity is determined. So when we are comparing the quantity with the standard, what you are getting, that will say that will meet about the purity of the analyte. If it meets the expected value, that is standard value, it is lying within the standard. Whatever determination you are performing, you are calculating the amount or concentration. If it is matching with the standard value, then it is said as the compound is highly pure. Okay, if it is lying with the given standard readings, a standard range, if it lies, then it will be said as highly pure compound. So in order to determine the purity of drug substances or drug molecules, we'll be going with quantitative applications. So let's see what are all the quantitative methods are available for UV visible spectrometric analysis, spectroscopic analysis. There are three kinds of analysis we'll be going with. One is there are two kinds of analysis. One is with single component analysis. Only single component will be there in the formulation, and another one is multi-component analysis, where you will find the combined dosage form. That is, you will be having one or two active pharmaceutical ingredients will be combined in the single dosage form. So there are two categories of drug substances. Based on that, we'll be having different methods to analyze different kind of formulations. So first one is, the quantitative methods are divided into two categories based on the compound's dosage form nature. In that, if it is having single component, the dosage form or formulation is having only single component. Single component represents single active pharmaceutical ingredient. Okay, only one active pharmaceutical ingredient, only one drug if it is present, as mentioned in the picture. You can observe the picture. Only one, like paracetamol, only it contains only active pharmaceutical ingredient of paracetamol alone. So this represents single component analysis. So if you are determining the quantity and purity of single active pharmaceutical ingredient, then we need to follow single component analytical methods. If the compound is having, if the formulation is having more than one component, if it is combined with paracetamol is combined with some other drugs, then it will be called as multi-component analysis. So what are the methods available for single component and multi-component analysis, and how we'll perform those studies we'll discuss. Okay. So when single component analysis will be performed means by means of what are the methods available means when reference standard is not available. Reference standard is not available. That means if you want to prepare the set of standard solutions, if you don't have active pharmaceutical ingredient separately or bulk drug without making formulation, if you are not having drug substance, that is called as reference standard, pure substance, 100% pure substance, if it is not available to compare with your sample, then you need to go for this type of technique. What is the technique called as standard absorptive value method? Standard absorptive value method, or it may be called as a 1% 1 centimeter method. A 1% 1 centimeter method. Okay. So when reference standard or bulk drug is not available, pure drug is not available to compare with the formulations of that drug, then we need to go with a 1% 1 centimeter method. So what it is called as standard absorptive value method. Standard absorptive value method. A 1% 1 centimeter is called as is a standard value. So you will be comparing your sample value with the standard value directly. Okay. So what is a 1% 1 centimeter means? Absorbance. A represents absorbance of 1% solution. Absorbance of 1% solution. How 1% solution is prepared? 1 gram in 100 ml. 1 gram of drug substance is diluted in 100 ml of solvent, and the absorbance taken for that solution is taken as a 1%. And what this 1 centimeter represents, already we have seen the cuvette path length is 1 centimeter. What is cuvette sample cell? The path length is 1 centimeter. So if we analyze absorbance of 1% solution in 1 centimeter path length, then the value is called absorptivity value. Okay, the value obtained for that is called as absorptivity value, that is represented here as absorptive value or absorption coefficient. It may be called as a 1% 1 centimeter, may be called as absorption coefficient or extinction coefficient. Extinction coefficient. Extinction coefficient, that is E. Okay. And so it may be called with different names, but we'll be saying it as a 1% 1 centimeter method or standard absorptive value method. And where this method is followed means in Indian pharmacopoeia, most of the drugs single component analysis follows this category of method. So you will be finding the standard value for any drug that is performed by a 1% 1 centimeter value you can find in the pharmacopoeia itself. So official pharmacopoeia follows this method only. When reference standard is not available, you can go with IP method. So what is IP method? A 1% 1 centimeter method. What is a 1% 1 centimeter? Absorptivity value method or standard absorptive value method. It is absorptive represents absorption coefficient. It is absorption coefficient. For 1% solution, absorbance is calculated and it depends on molecular weight of the sample. So no two components will be having same absorptivity value, since all the molecules will be having different molecular weight, and from the molecular weight absorption coefficient is calculated for the a 1% 1 centimeter value. Okay. And this is how the first method is followed when reference standard is not available. For single component analysis, the first method what we'll be using is IP method, Indian pharmacopoeial methods or assays for UV visible spectrometric analysis. So what is the name of the method? Standard absorptive value method, a 1% 1 centimeter or extinction coefficient method. The next method is when reference standard is available. When reference standard for each drug is available, like standards, bulk drugs, active pharmaceutical ingredients are available, then we can go with, we can prepare the known concentration of that standard solution, and we can prepare or find out the unknown concentration of your single component dosage form. Okay. So sample absorbance will be compared with standard absorbance. That is the concept here. So what are the methods available when reference standard is there? Means a direct comparison method and calibration curve method. These two methods are commonly used and widely used under single component analysis in UV visible spectrometric analysis. So what is direct comparison method means? We'll be preparing a known concentration of standard 1 solution and the sample solution. So you will be observing the absorbance of standard solution where the concentration is known and the sample concentration is unknown, but you will be getting the absorbance from the instrument, right? So known concentration of standard and absorbance of standard is compared with the absorbance of sample, whereby we can determine unknown concentration of sample. Okay, that is called as direct comparison. By cross multiplication method, we can find out the concentration of sample. Directly, the absorbance of sample is compared with the standard. Standard is what? Known concentration of substance. It will be of known concentration. Like for example, you would have been prepared 100 microgram per ml. If 100 microgram is the standard concentration, then your sample concentration is unknown. You need to find out. But absorbance of that 100 microgram per ml standard concentration is 0.4. For example, 0.4. Since the absorbance varies between 0.1 and 0.9, you just think it is 0.4 your sample standard absorbance. Then the sample is giving 0.5, but the sample concentration is unknown. You know all other parameters: concentration of standard, you know, absorbance of standard also you know, and the sample absorbance also you know. Only you need to determine the unknown concentration of sample. Then we can cross multiply the readings and you will be getting the unknown concentration of sample. So that represents direct comparison method. Okay, standard concentration and absorbance are compared with the sample concentration and absorbance in order to determine concentration of sample. Once the concentration is determined, how much concentration of sample you have taken in the cuvette for analysis, once you have decided are calculated, then you can find out the amount present in the formulation itself using dilution calculations and all. That will be discussed in the practicals, how you need to calculate the quantity of drug substance actually present in the formulation from absorbance, from the concentration what you are determining primarily after performing the experiment. From the experimental value, how you are calculating quantity and purity will be discussed during the practicals. Now you have to understand what are the methods and what is the concept behind that method. Okay, so what is official method for single component analysis? Standard absorptive value method, that is a 1% 1 centimeter method. When it is used, when reference standard is not available for the single component drug substance, and they are drug product. When reference standard is available, direct comparison method and calibration curve methods are available. Now you know what is direct comparison. Standard absorbance and concentration are directly compared with the sample absorbance and concentration in order to determine the concentration. Okay, hope you would have performed many colorimetric assays in medicinal biochemistry, right? Where you would have compared absorbance of standard with the absorbance of test, and you should have calculated the concentration of test. You will be knowing the concentration of standard solution, right? You should have performed a blood analysis. No, can you recollect the points? For example, creatinine you should have done many times, serum creatinine analysis, where standard creatinine you should have prepared and the sample and blank, right? The blank will be kept as 0, where sample and standard are taken as means known concentration of standard is added to the standard test tube, and where test tube you will be adding sample test tube you will be adding unknown concentration of your sample blood sample, where you will be adding the reagents in order to determine creatinine, picric acid, sodium hydroxide, this all you would have added, and you will get some color change. That color intensity is absorbed in colorimeter like a visible UV visible spectrophotometric method, and you will be getting the absorbance for sample and standard, and you should have done the calculation with dilution, how what dilution you have made for the sample and standard, and what is the concentration of standard you have prepared. From this you should have obtained the concentration of sample, right? So that type of method is called direct comparison method. Okay, so this is one of the common method used for determining the quantity of any biomolecules or any drug products, whatever. Then what is calibration curve method? Calibration curve, even this also you should have done in third year. By means of graph you should have plotted a calibration curve, right? I have told in the last class also, quantitative analysis by means of plotting a standard curve, calibration curve method. So what is calibration curve? We'll be taking the graph or plotting the graph, quantitative graph, taking absorbance in y-axis and concentration in x-axis, concentration versus absorbance, and you will be preparing minimum of 5 standard solutions according to ICH guidelines, and we need to prepare 5 optimum standards of 5 concentrations we need to prepare, where minimum of 4 and maximum of 6 concentrations can be prepared with increase in concentration, and you will get the linear graph for getting the calibration curve. After then your sample absorbance will be taken and applied into the graph, and you can extrapolate the reading from the absorbance of sample what you have got from the graph. You can determine the unknown concentration for the sample. So that is called calibration curve method. This is also widely used in order to get accurate reading. When comparing with the direct comparison method, calibration curve method will give a very accurate reading. Okay, so that calibration curve method will be widely used, but these are all the methods are used where comparing with, in order to get accurate readings, and in order to meet the standard deviation statistical procedures, we'll be going with calibration curve method. Okay, in order to get percentage or the relative standard deviation, we'll be taking nearly 5 values of standards, and that will be compared with the sample, so that you will be getting the concentration of sample very accurately from the calibration curve. So that is what called as calibration curve method. This also you will be performing how to make dilutions, how to calculate concentration, from the concentration how you need to determine the actual amount present in the formulation. This all will be taught when practical classes will come for that experiments. So now calibration curve means by means of standard curve, plotting standard curve, taking absorbance versus concentration. Absorbance in the y-axis and the concentration in the x-axis is taken, and in the x-axis where the sample absorption lies in the x-axis from the linear curve, then that is taken as unknown concentration of sample. From the concentration, based on the dilutions and all, we'll be getting the amount and purity of the sample. Okay, so this is about single component analysis. What are the 3 methods available for single component analysis? Listening, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Getting the points, no? Understanding, no? Since I have not given many points, this all you can find in the textbooks itself. Okay, so that I have given only the titles and I am explaining so that you will understand. And when it is coming in the practical, we'll be seeing briefly what is A1 per centimeter method, what is direct comparison, what is calibration curve method. This all. So for single component analysis, there are 3 methods. One is based on when a reference standard is not available, we'll be going with standard absorptive value method, or A1 per 1 centimeter method. And this is the official method followed in Indian pharmacopoeia. Even you can refer IP where for UV visible spectroscopic analysis, where where you can find this A1%, 1 centimeter value for each drug product that would have been performed by UV visible spectroscopic method. Then when reference standard is available, there are two methods, direct comparison and calibration curve method. Then let's move on to multi-component analysis. If the single dosage form is having more than one active pharmaceutical ingredient in it, more than one single component will be having only one. So if more than one active pharmaceutical ingredient is present in the formulation, then we need to go with multi-component analysis. Okay. So for multi-component analysis, what is the method? Only one method is available for multi-component analysis, that is called as simultaneous estimation method. Simultaneous estimation. Simultaneous means simultaneously. At the same time, we are going to analyze two active pharmaceutical ingredients. So the experimental conditions for the two active pharmaceutical ingredients will be same. That's why it is called a simultaneous estimation method. That means when you are choosing solvent for making dilution and for determining wavelength, this all should be correlating with the active pharmaceutical ingredients present in the formulation, components present in the formulation. Then only the method will be applied for simultaneous estimation. This also you will be performing in the lab. I'll be explaining during that time. So with the example, if I'm explaining, then you will understand better. So this all the methods we'll be discussing in the practicals, and you will be performing also. If not, then I will give demo on all the calculations, experiments and all. Okay. So simultaneous estimation method is simultaneously all the constituents, more than one constituents or components or active pharmaceutical ingredients or analytes present in the formulation are determined by this method. And this method is called as Weirot's method. Okay. The simultaneous estimation method is called as Weirot's method. So these are all the totally 4 methods that are available and widely used for quantitative analysis of drug molecules, okay, analytes, in either from drug substances or drug products. You know what is drug substance? Drug substance is active pharmaceutical ingredient. Drug product is formulated form of active pharmaceutical ingredient. So you can determine the amount from any formulation, or you can check the purity of bulk drug itself. So these are all the methods available. Clear, no? So what are the methods you will be preferring when you are getting any drug substance? Immediately you want to decide that what method is opt for analyzing that particular drug substance, okay, a drug product. If you are receiving any formulation, any tablet or capsule or injection, whatever you are receiving, if anybody is asking you to make find out the quantity of that drug product, then you will be first you have to think whether it is having single component or multi-component, and you have to check whether it is having standard to compare or not, a reference standard whether we are having or not. If reference standard is not available, then we can go with A1%, 1 centimeter method. We can refer IP, we can collect the procedure, and we can proceed with that for that drug substance. And then if definitely the drug molecule is marketed, then you will be having all the estimation procedures in IP itself. Even in recent drug molecule, then recent IP will be having all the newer drugs. So definitely you can find the standard absorptivity value for the drug, then we can analyze. And if we have the reference standard, then we can go with either direct comparison or calibration curve method. The optimized methods will be seen in the articles, published articles for that drug substance. You could find the method, or you can optimize the parameters for that drug molecule. Then you can, that will come in the research part. If you are not finding any article for the drug molecule to perform by these methods, then you can optimize the experimental conditions, and that category is called as method development. You can develop the newer method to quantify the drug substance, okay. So that when you can perform means when reference standard is available. So in that case, we'll be going with 2 methods, direct comparison and calibration curve method. Then if the combined dosage form is given, means more than one ingredient your molecule is your formulation is having, if you are asked to perform the quantity, determine the quantity and purity of that ingredients, then you need to go with simultaneous estimation using Weirot's method. And all these methods, single component and multi-component methods, in order to calculate concentration, quantitative, in order to perform quantitative methods, it has to follow Beer-Lambert's law. Okay, all should meet the law that is called as Beer-Lambert's law. That we'll be discussing now. For quantitative analysis, what law? All the substances should meet Beer-Lambert's law. So according to Beer-Lambert's law only, we are going to analyze or you are going to perform quantitative methods, all these 4 methods. Okay, even simultaneous estimation, direct comparison, calibration curve, absorptivity value, all these things should meet the law, that is Beer-Lambert's law, that we'll be discussing now. Before that, the principle of quantitative analysis is, you should have understand, will be first determining concentration. So from the analysis, from the where you will be taking the sample, what kind of sample you will be making. If the solution is, when you are making dilution, if your solution is monophasic and colorless, then it will be analyzed in UV region. If the compound is colored, then it is diluted and it is analyzed in visible region, right? So where it is taken the diluted sample in cuvette. So after adding the sample in the cuvette, that will be absorbing, that absorbance is directly proportional to the absorbing species concentration present in the sample. So you are determining first concentration present in the cuvette sample set. Later you are determining quantity, how much quantity is present in the sample, that means in the formulation. Then this quantity says about purity. This quantity is compared with the standard values. If it is lying with the standard, then it is said about the purity of the drug substance. Now, why we need to determine the purity? In order to ensure the safety and efficacy of the sample, safety and efficacy. So therapeutically or pharmacologically, it is active, it is safe and efficacy to the patients. So that is determined. For that purpose only, we are basically determining the concentration after diluting the sample, and the quantity is determined from that based on the dilution, based on the weight of the sample, all the quantitative parameters, it will be converted to its quantity, and this quantity will be matching with the quantity of the drug substance present in the formulation. Okay, and then you can calculate the purity when comparing with the standard quantity, standard reference standard quantity. And then the purity is saying about, is compared with the standard purity of that drug substance. Concentration, determining quantity, then purity, then safety and efficacy. Now let's see what is Beer-Lambert's law, how it is applicable in quantitative analysis. It is very important. You will be getting derivation, deviation and limitations of Beer-Lambert's law. You have to learn this derivation, deviations and limitations. These are all important. You may get in 10 mark or 5 mark question for sure. Okay, since Beer-Lambert is very important and geometric method, we need to learn what is Beer-Lambert's law. So Beer's law is different and Lambert's law is different. These two scientists derived the law based on the absorbance of sample, absorption of radiation of, by the sample, and this is combinedly used for quantitative methods. Both the laws are combined to apply for quantitative analysis. Okay. So now let's see laws applied for quantitative analysis, that is Beer-Lambert's law. So when part of light, intensity of light is said to incident on a homogeneous medium, homogeneous represents monophasic solution, I said now. So homogeneous medium, it gets either absorbed or transmitted or reflected. Absorbed radiation is said with intensity of A. Absorbed. A represents absorbed intensity. I represents intensity. And IO here represents incident light. Incident means from the source directly whatever intensity of radiation, that is monochromatic light. So from the source you are getting polychromatic light, then it is passed to monochromator, then it is converted to monochromatic light, and that monochromatic light when it is passed to the sample is called as incident light. That is intensity of incident light. It will get either absorbed by the sample and transmitted by the sample and reflected by the sample. So the intensity of absorbed radiation, transmitted radiation and reflected radiation are mentioned with IA, IT and IR. So the intensity of incident light that will be equal to absorbed light, transmitted light and reflected light. In a comparison of cell is used, IR is very small, reflection is very small in UV visible, so it is of a negligible amount, only 4% maximum, so it can be eliminated. So you will get what are the lights that is equal to incident light, absorption and transmitted light. So in UV visible spectroscopic method, you will be analyzing either intensity of transmitted light or intensity of absorbed light, since the sum of these two lights are equal to the intensity of incident light. Now I'll just explain the concept behind Lambert's law and Bayes law. From this, you need to find out the steps given here for derivation process. Okay, I'll give the material, just find out the derivation here. You can learn on your own derivations alone. I'll be explaining the concepts only behind laws. Okay, so if I start to explain the derivation, it will take more time, and this derivation step by step was prepared by your senior Pungodai in 6th Form D. She is there now. Pungodai only has prepared this derivation when she was in 3rd year Form D. So even you can get explanation from her, and she has very much simplified this derivation from the textbooks by her own, and you won't find all the steps in the textbook, so it will be very easy, and where she has given very simplified derivation here. So hope everyone can understand this. And kindly read from the material when I post. So we'll discuss now what is Lambert's law. So what are the intensity of radiations will directly proportional to the sample, or to the sample means absorbed, intensity of absorbed light and intensity of transmitted light. These two are equal to intensity of incident light. What is incident light? The light coming from the intensity coming from the monochromator to the sample from the source. Okay, and absorbed light and transmitted light occurs after passing into the sample. After light is passed into the sample, based on absorbing species concentration, the light is getting absorbed and the remaining light is transmitted from the cuvette, and this transmitted light will go to the detector, and detector will detect how much absorbance has been taken place and how much is transmitted. Transmitted light will be set in percentage, absorbance will not be having any unit. Percentage transmittance is calculated, where absorbance is not calculated in percentage. Okay, but transmittance is calculated in percentage, where absorbance is not having any unit. Unit is not there for absorbance. Okay, so now let's move on to Lambert's law. When a beam represents intensity of light, that is I0, I0 represents incident light, is allowed to pass through a transparent medium. Transparent is homogeneous medium. It will not be having any particles or semi-solids or colloids like that. It is monophasic medium. So transparent, it will be transparent medium. Even a single particle you cannot find in that. Very clear medium, that is representing transparent medium. So when a beam of light is allowed to pass through a transparent medium, the rate of decrease of intensity, what happens? The rate of decrease of intensity, where the decrease occurs, the beam of light passed, in that decrease in intensity occurs with the thickness. Thickness represents the thickness of the medium. This thickness represents the concentration. Okay, thickness of the medium. Thickness of the medium is that solution medium. If it is highly thick, then the concentration will be high. So that is directly proportional to the intensity of light. So decrease in intensity with the thickness is directly proportional to the intensity of transmitted light. Here intensity of light represents transmitted light. When decrease in intensity with the thickness causes, what happens? Absorbance will be increased, where transmittance will be decreased. So that's what given here. So he is explaining the concentration is directly proportional to thickness. Lambert's explaining that concentration of species, observing species present in the sample will be based on its thickness, is directly proportional to the intensity of radiation absorbed. So that is why rate of decrease in intensity causes this decrease. How the radiation is decreased with the intensity, since there is an absorption by the medium. Thickness of the medium, he is saying. The thickness here is represented with T. This negative symbol representing decrease in intensity. dA is differential of differentiation of intensity of incident light. This only I represents intensity of incident radiation. I0 only represented here with I, and T is thickness of medium, that is directly proportional to intensity of radiation. Okay, intensity of total light. And you can take the proportionality constant and proportionality factor, and it will go on derivatizing to get finally you will be getting IT, transmitted light, that is equal to I0. I0 is what? In the incident light, and exponential to minus KT. KT is proportionality constant, T is thickness. So transmitted light will be that is equal to incident light exponential to minus KT. That you will be getting. And that can be again taking logarithm, you will be getting this equation, that is first equation. So he is saying Lambert's law. According to Lambert's law, you will be getting from the Lambert's law, you can finally define it as transmittance equal to IT divided by I0. Intensity of transmitted light divided by intensity of incident light. So that is two are directly proportional. When absorbance increases, transmittance decreases. That is the concept. Absorbance increases, transmittance decreases. So absorbance is equal to log of intensity of radiation divided by IT. So this is also another equation saying about absorbance. Absorbance is equal to optical density divided by extinction coefficient. Optical density and extinction coefficient. And the derivation continues for Beer's law. Now you have seen Lambert's law. Lambert's law says absorbance is directly proportional to thickness of the medium. So thereby decrease in intensity occurs. Decrease in intensity where it occurs for the transmitted light, and transmitted light radiation will be decreased. Transmitted light is what? The light coming from the sample cell. Absorbed light where it taking place? Inside the sample cell, inside the cuvette. Presence of absorbing species, absorption takes place. What is incident light? That is coming from the source. Okay, so transmitted light will be decreased when in the cuvette absorbance is increased. That's what decrease in intensity says here. So that is representing IT. IT is what? Transmitted light. So negative symbol IT represents transmitted light. Okay. Now let's see about Beer's law. The intensity of beam of monochromatic light decreases exponentially with increase in concentration of absorbing substances arithmetically. So the intensity of beam of monochromatic light, that is incident light, I0, decreases exponentially with increase in concentration. That means it is the intensity of light is directly proportional to the concentration of absorbing species. So it is directly saying about how many absorbing species are present in the medium, that is in the cuvette. Where he said only thickness of medium. Beesler said how many absorbing species. It is very specific, right? So concentration is directly proportional to the absorbing species present in the sample. So according to Beer's law, we will be taking C, concentration, differentiation of concentration and differentiation of light, that is monochromatic light passed, incident light, is equal to intensity of incident So absorbed light, this I here represents absorbed IA, intensity of absorbed light, that is directly proportional to concentration. So these two are directly proportional to intensity of monochromatic light. This capital I here represents in a I0, intensity of monochromatic light, and DI represents intensity of absorbed light, where DC represents concentration of absorbing species. Negative symbol represents a decrease in concentration, decrease in intensity of incident light. So decrease in intensity of incident light, and this is proportionality constant. So when taking this parameters, you will be getting IT equal to I0 exponential to KC. KC represents, K dash represents another constant, proportionality constant for Beer's law, and C represents concentration. Where in Lambert's law it is I0, it is KT. T represents thickness. So he is saying thickness of the medium. Intensity, decrease in intensity causes by thickness of the medium, Lambert's law says. Where Beer's law says decrease in intensity based on concentration of absorbing substance. Okay, on combining these two equations, you will be getting log I0 by IT equal to ACT. A represents absorption coefficient and concentration, and T thickness. So combining this, we'll be getting the Beer-Lambert's law. So finally, Beer-Lambert's law can be taken as A represents absorption coefficient. That's what we have seen in A 1% 1 centimeter method. When reference standard is not available, we have seen A 1% 1 centimeter, right? What is A 1% 1 centimeter? Absorption coefficient. So that is represented with this small a, and it may be called as molar absorption coefficient. So it is called as epsilon also, epsilon. So capital A equal to ECT, epsilon CT. A is absorbance of the sample you have taken in the cuvette. E represents extinction coefficient or absorption coefficient, and CT represents concentration and thickness. Thickness will be path length, that is 1 centimeter path length. In that, if thickness is high, then the radiation intensity will be decreased, transmitted light will be decreased. C is concentration of absorbing species. So taking all these parameters, we can quantify. So for quantification purpose, what equation you will be using? A equal to ABC. So let's finish this today's class, since I have kept test in the next class. So I'll take another 5 minutes to complete this topic. Then only we can cover the syllabus also. Okay, only this class I'll take for another 5 minutes more. Since we have started class after 15 minutes only, so that I'll take another 5 minutes to complete. Okay, no?
Okay, ma'am.
Since for applications alone we cannot spend another 1 hour, so we can go with the next spectroscopic technique in the forthcoming week. So that so understood now what is Beer-Lambert's law? A equal to ABC. You can even in the book you can see ABC. A equal to small ABC. Capital A equal to small ABC you can write. But according to this derivation here is given as ACT. T represents here thickness. Thickness we can mention with small b also. B represents path length. Path length is what? 1 centimeter. Cuvette path length. Okay. So the T represents thickness. Thickness can be said as path length. Path length is b. It can be represented with b. So ABC, you can write it as small ABC. Capital A equal to small ABC. A represents what? Absorptivity. B represents path length or thickness, 1 centimeter, that will be. And concentration is your sample concentration. What concentration you have taken for analysis, that is in cuvette. You should have, after dilution, you should have taken some concentration. No? So that is called as C. In microgram per ml or milligram per ml, you should have taken the sample. Concentration range, you know, microgram to milligram. So that concentration is mentioned here to calculate the actual absorbance. And absorbance is read from the instrumental method. So analyzing, passing the UV radiation, you will get absorbance in the instrument. That is the capital A, absorbance of that solution. Absorptivity is standard value. Concentration is unknown. You don't know the concentration. Absorptivity value is standard, and concentration is compared with the absorptivity value, where you will get this absorptivity value from official pharmacopoeia. And T is thickness. Thickness or path length, that is constant. 1 centimeter is constant. So these two are constant, and absorbance you will be getting from the experimental data, so that you can calculate the concentration. So from A equal to ABC method, that is absorptivity method, A 1% 1 centimeter method, this is how, using Beer-Lambert's law, we can calculate the concentration. So this is how Beer-Lambert's law applied in quantification of the drug molecules, okay, drug products. So concentration, once it is determined, it will be applicable for dilution and amount calculation. Then after determining the amount, then we can go for purity calculation. That says about the purity of the drug substance. Okay. Next, we'll see about deviations. Now you have seen what is Beer's law and Lambert's law, and combination of Beer-Lambert's law. Beer's law says absorbance is directly proportional to concentration, where Lambert's law says, in single word you can say like this: absorbance is directly proportional to thickness of the medium. So this thickness and concentration is combined to get A equal to ABC formula. Now we'll move on to deviations from Beer-Lambert's law. So in order to meet Beer-Lambert's law, the peak linear curve, calibration curve I said no, and quantitative methods. So we need to get the linear curve. From the linear curve, there is deviation occurs, positive and negative deviation, when you take concentration and absorbance in the graph. In x-axis concentration and y-axis absorbance, if you take, you need to get a linear curve. But sometimes it will not meet the linearity. It will be deviating from the linearity for the set of standards. The one will be positive deviation, another one will be negative deviation. If it is moving higher, then it is positive. If it is moving lower from the linearity, then it is negative deviation. So when you may expect a positive deviation means even when the concentration, that means the more dilution occurs, if the between successive concentrations, two concentrations, if any variation occurs, if it is either more diluted, means you will be preparing like between two concentrations, it will be same difference, like 2 4 6 8 or 1 3 5 7. Likewise, you need to prepare the concentration. Even when you are preparing that, the difference concentrations with that difference, increase in concentrations with that difference, it will not meet the linearity. It may be either increasing absorbance suddenly, okay, directly. Concentration will not be always directly proportional to absorbance. Sometimes even when concentration increase, low absorbance will be increased, or concentration increases, absorbance will be decreased. So in that case only you will be finding positive deviation or negative deviation. So when concentration is high also, absorbance will be low in case of negative deviation. Even when concentration is low, absorbance will be suddenly increased for positive deviation. So it is all depending on concentration of substance, absorbing species present in the solution, okay, diluted solution. Based on what parameter? Concentration. Why it is not meeting the linearity, why it is not following the Beer-Lambert's law? Even when concentration, it is based on the concentration of substance. Even the concentration is low, absorbance will high, that will make positive deviation. Even when concentration is high, absorbance will be less, that will be negative deviation. What is our aim? Absorbance should be directly proportional to concentration, but it will not be meeting sometimes. That is called deviations. So we need to find out at what concentration range the substance is linear. So that concentration range only must be taken to plot the linear curve. So if you know the positive and negative deviations only, we can confirm the linearity of that substance. So that only this deviation is important. Now let's see the limitations of Beer-Lambert's law. What are all the cases Beer-Lambert's law will not obey? Okay, so what are all the limitations? there are physicochemical factors and instrumental factors will limit or restrict the to follow with the Beer-Lambert's law. So what are physicochemical parameters? That is physicochemical parameters. First one is concentration. That's what we have discussed from positive and negative deviation. Even the concentration is high, absorbance will be decreased. Always absorbance and concentration will not be directly proportional. If more concentrated solution, definitely it will not meet the, if more than, I said the concentration range between microgram and milligram. If it is more than milligrams, then definitely it will not be proportional to concentration absorbance. So only we need to make a very diluted solutions with less absorbing species. So concentration is the major factor will restrict the Beer-Lambert's law to obey. Then scattering of light. If scattering of light, we need to means measure absorbed light. If scattering or reflection is high, that will also interfere with the Beer-Lambert's law. Limit means restrict the Beer-Lambert's law. Then fluorescence and phosphorescence. If the sample radiation, either sample is emitting the radiation in order to absorb, the absorbed radiation is emitted and it will be again absorbed. If the radiation is lost based on fluorescence and phosphorescence, then that will also affect to meet the Beer-Lambert's law. So these are all the three parameters, physicochemical parameters will restrict to obey with the Beer-Lambert's law: concentration, scattering, and fluorescence and phosphorescence. These three categories. Then what are the instrumental factors? In the instrument, what are the things we are getting? Monochromatic light, stray light, slit width. Monochromatic light, we need to get the single intensity of radiation, single colored radiation. You can see the only red radiation is derived. If we are not getting monochromatic light, then that will also affect the Beer-Lambert's law to follow. Then stray light, you can see from the source, this blue color radiation indicates the polychromatic light, where the stray light is coming from the outside source. If any stray light, interfering light is also interfering with the monochromatic light, our expected light, that will also restrict to follow Beer-Lambert's law. Then slit width, we need to get the symmetric curve, right? This slit width is varying. You can see slit width at bottom of the curve. For the two curves, the linear line is plotted, then the distance is calculated, and this is called slit width. This will also affect the Beer-Lambert's law. When concentration increases, the slit width also should be increased serially. If it is not, then this will also affect the Beer-Lambert's law. So these are all the physicochemical and instrumental parameters will affect Beer-Lambert's law. What are all the physicochemical? Concentration, scattering, fluorescence, and phosphorescence. Instrumental are monochromatic, stray light, and slit width. Okay. Now let's move on to the pharmaceutical applications. So this will again take another 15 minutes. Shall we discuss this in the next class or else? Are you all ready to continue? Shall we finish now or in the next class? I'll be finishing now. Only I'll say if any doubt, we'll discuss in the next class. Pharmaceutical applications are based on different departments I have taken and then focus to the applications of UV visible spectroscopy. Since all the departments are going to use UV visible spectroscopic analysis, for general applications are quality control of pharmaceuticals and lambda max determination of pharmaceuticals. Okay, lambda max I said it is qualitative parameter. So what are general applications? Quality control of pharmaceuticals and lambda max determination of pharmaceuticals. In pharmaceutics department, what are the purpose they will use? They will depend on UV visible spectroscopic method, means dissolution studies on drug products for calculation of percentage drug release. Okay. Dissolution studies, then determination of purity and uniformity of nanoparticles. Nano formulation, if it is made, the purity and uniformity is determined based on UV visible spectroscopic method. Then in vitro bioavailability testing. In vitro bioavailability testing. So these are all the purpose in pharmaceutics department. It is applicable. Hope you will be performing in BPPK paper biopharmaceutics. Definitely you will be performing dissolution studies and you will be taking the readings in UV visible spectroscopy only. So you will be understanding the application of UV visible spectroscopy in pharmaceutics department. Then in pharmaceutical analysis, what are the applications of UV visible? Means method development and validation. I said no. when the quantitation method is not available, we can develop the method by using the instrument and validate the method for any drug substance or a drug product. Then we can monitor drug-drug interaction and drug-food interaction studies. Then we can develop stability indicating method. Stability means how long the drug substance is stable. Then determination of pKa, that is the dissociation constant that we can analyze. Acid dissociation constant of drug substance also can be determined. Since based on pKa value, we could separate and we could decide the pH of the drug substance. When drug release profile also can be based on pKa value. Already we have discussed in chromatography what is the importance of pKa value in order to select pH of mediums. So that is determined through UV visible spectroscopy. So these are all the applications behind pharmaceutical analysis department. Then in pharmacognosy department, what purpose they will use means lambda max determination of isolated herbal compounds. If the single component is isolated from through column chromatography, we have discussed no isolation, that molecules can be determined for lambda max. It's lambda max, maximum absorbance. Then determination of quantity and purity of an isolated compound. Then in vitro pharmacological activities on herbals. In vitro pharmacological activities on herbals can be carried out. Then isolated compound, same isolated compound, quantity and purity is determined. In pharmacology, they will perform the same in vitro pharmacological activity study of selected drug product. In vitro pharmacological study, the blood sample is collected and the reagent will be added and the color intensity will be analyzed through UV visible spectroscopy. Then determination of bioavailability of drug product testing in animals. This is all carried out using UV visible spectroscopy. Clinical applications are evaluation of normal and abnormal biochemical constituents in body fluids. This you would have already done in medicinal biochemistry. Normal and abnormal bioconstituents from body fluids you should have analyzed using UV visible spectroscopic method. And what are spectrometric titrations means? In burette, you will be taking volume of titrant, you will be taking in the conical flask your content, like actual titration. But after each ml of adding titrant, the solution will be analyzed for its absorbance. Okay, and absorbance and volume of titrant is taken in the graph. Graph is plotted where you are finding the inflection point will tell about endpoint of that titration. So it is based on absorbance and endpoint calculation. This is the major means mechanism of spectrometric titrations. You can find the different curves. Okay, so based on absorption, when it reaches endpoint, you can find the deflection in the graph, and this deflection is extrapolated to the x-axis to find out the titer value endpoint. And from that endpoint, you can calculate concentration, and then you can go for amount percentage purity determination. Okay, so this is how spectrometric titrations are performed, where you will be finding titrate will be your analyte, then titrant of known concentration, this will be unknown concentration, then the product will be formed, and you need to find out the absorbance for the titrate and titrant reaction. Once the reaction is over, it would have been reached the particular endpoint. So that is monitored through absorbance versus volume of titrant added. And at the endpoint, you will find the deflection. When plotting the readings in the graph, you will find the endpoint. So this is called spectrometric titrations, since it is analyzed with absorbance. Okay. And with this, I have completed all the concepts behind. We all have discussed all the concepts given in the syllabus under UV visible spectroscopic method, under absorption spectroscopy. In the next class, we'll be seeing atomic absorption spectroscopy. In molecular absorption, UV visible we have discussed. In the next class, we'll be seeing atomic absorption spectroscopy. Okay, at atomic level, how the absorption takes place. So the concepts will be discussed in the next class. For any doubts in these headings, you can clarify with me later, or you can message in the classroom. Okay, all of you stay home, stay safe. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Understood, no? All the concepts, whatever we have discussed. Only just observe the derivation. Derivation is sure 5 mark or 10 mark question you will be getting. Beer-Lambert's law is very important behind this topic.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, pa. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you all.
ma'am.
Yes.